evening. Welcome to Health Quest. I'm Deborah Arneson, your host for tonight. We have another wonderful show with Erin Walsh this evening, who is our amazing yoga teacher and instructor who's here to give us the beginning yoga level 2 class and kind of instructions. And last week we had Erin here and it was wonderful. You gave us, I think it was 5 poses total, and they're beginning poses. And she and I were talking after watching Erin. You know, she came and did a retreat for me last year. She was astonishing how amazing she worked with all different people from all different levels, all different sizes, all different condition, all different health concerns, and took like 8 women and made them all happy, which wasn't easy. And everyone just loved her and her technique. And I strongly suggested that Erin come here and help people get started to enjoy yoga, because most people, A, oftentimes don't have the time to go to a yoga class, B, don't have the money to go to a yoga class. So what we're going to be doing is creating levels for beginners. I think we're doing levels 1 through 4 or 5 for beginners, and then levels 1 through 4 or 5 for intermediate. And they're just 5 or 6 poses you can do every day just to get yourself breathing and moving and flexing and taking care of your temple, which is the goal. So Erin, thank you again for being here, sweetheart. As always, it's wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
We're going to talk a little bit about asana, and I always say it wrong. So what is the most important part of asana?
I feel that the most important part is...
What is asana?
Okay, asana is a pose, so it's the actual yoga position.
Okay. It's a basic yoga position?
It's any yoga position.
Okay.
Any yoga position is called an asana.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Asana means seat.
Seat.
So
foundation.
Right.
Okay, so what's the most important part
foundation.
of it? Yeah.
I feel that stability is the most important part, having a firm foundation.
Okay, and I know I witnessed that through your classes because you're always rebalancing everybody. And your poses are very flowing, which I love, and very mindful of breath work. And I feel as though it's like an art form when I take your class.
Yeah.
You know, everything, it's not like structured and hold the pose. And, you know, sometimes you hold the pose so long you're like holding your breath because you're trying really hard not to fall over or lose your leg or let it fall down.
Right.
And then I'm like, that's what Hatha used to be to me. Hatha yoga was so much work. It was just torture.
Right.
You know, like getting into a pose and holding it, hell or high water. It was like, ow! Wasn't fun.
It should be a rhythm.
Yes,
Yeah.
a flow. So what's more important, stability or flexibility?
Well, both are important. There needs to be a healthy balance.
Okay.
So if you have too much stability and not enough flexibility, then you have immobility. And if you have too much flexibility and not enough stability, then you have hypermobility or instability. So there has to be a healthy balance so that you're stable and flowing both at the same time.
Just like life.
Exactly.
Mindful, you know, your mind, your body, everything.
Right.
Just the right amount.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you love yoga, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. Don't you have to be really flexible to do yoga?
No, you
This
don't.
is a preconception.
It is. A lot of people are like, oh, you do yoga, you must be really flexible. But it's not about being flexible physically. You start wherever you're at, and there will be benefits for you no matter what.
Men and women.
Men and women
children,
alike.
elderly.
Exactly.
Everybody could benefit from this.
Right. And
it's a healing art.
it is. It is healing art. What was I going to say?
Oh, we were talking about people thinking they have to be flexible to be able to do it.
Right. So it's more important to be flexible in your mind than in your body. So through your yoga practice, you know, are you more tolerant of others? You know, do you have an open heart? You know, are you able to be compassionate towards other people? So that's where the flexibility is, I believe. You know, not so
That's
much in the physical
wonderful.
body, but the heart and the mind.
It opens everything up.
It does.
That's amazing. Well, I know we talked last week, I was telling you that when I get away from yoga for a couple of weeks, I get just more irritable, easily irritated, you know, for me, and it takes a lot to me, you know, for me to get like, rah. But I notice I miss it.
Right.
I just miss like just how it makes me feel and how it balances me. It's a very stressful world we've created for ourselves, you know? It's like, gosh, I juggle I call them my monster balls. They're not just balls. I juggle balls all day, but I have monster balls that come down and like nip me in the hand, you know, take a bite. It's like, ooh, you little stinker, that hurt, you know? So, and they're balls that I've created. You know, they're all my babies.
Right.
They're mine. I own them. And, you know, sometimes you look back at the things you create in your life out of, like, what you think was the right thing, and you're like, oh, that was wrong.
Right.
Or this is a lot in too much. So you need something to counterbalance this crazy world that we live in.
Right.
So.
I think that's important, too, that you say that we created ourselves.
We do.
Yeah.
We create everything. I think it's important to take responsibility for your life.
Right.
You know, it's. I'm not into being a victim, and a lot of people
Right.
get caught in that. It's not good. So, can someone who is totally inflexible, can they get just as much out of a yoga class as somebody who's like just Gumby? You know.
Sure. Yeah. In fact, some people that are Gumby-like, they can end up injuring themselves, or they're not actually feeling the full effects of the pose. For somebody who's stiff, somebody who's not quite as flexible, they might not, you know, be able to go all the way down into a forward fold, but they're definitely feeling it. They might only be, you know, sitting here, you know, with their legs extended, you know, here, but they're definitely feeling the effects. Whereas
Right.
somebody who can just lay right on their legs, they might not feel a thing at all.
Don't you think we're meant to be flexible? I mean, our bodies really need to be worked and exercised. We're like racehorses.
Yeah.
You know, they get put out to pasture too soon.
Yeah.
Because we're so sedentary in our lifestyles. And, you know, by the time you come home at the end of the day, if you haven't exercised, you're just like, oh, the heck with it.
Right.
I need a drink.
Uh-huh.
Or, you know, I think I'll
Or you're
just smoke
too
a
tired
cigarette.
or
Or I'm
too
going to watch
sore.
TV. Or, yeah. And you don't do anything. And our bodies are built to move. They just work better when we do.
Yeah.
Everything works better.
Yeah.
And yoga is just a soft way to get them to work better. So, what are props? I see you brought a couple here today.
I have a few props. There are blocks,
Okay, what do you do with those?
straps, and I brought an eye pillow also
Yum.
for
My
Shavasana.
favorite colors.
So props are used to help you feel the full effects of the asana. So, oh God, they can be used in so many different ways. I like to use the straps for shoulder work.
Okay.
A lot of shoulder work. You can
For
do stuff
stretching
like,
and pulling and
stuff like this.
oh, that's great.
Or if you're seated in a forward fold, you can't reach your feet, you can use the strap to get a better grip here to lengthen the spine. The blocks, I like to use these for stability. I'll use one of these in a pose I'll do in a little
Okay.
bit, show you how we
I
can
know
use that.
even for me when I'm sitting, if I
Yeah.
sit on the block,
Yeah,
just
it
gives me-
elevates the hips and it helps to lengthen the spine.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really comfortable actually.
It's much more comfortable sitting on a block than sitting on the floor.
yeah. Well, it just
Yeah.
lifts that little coxie up a little bit.
Right.
How many different styles of yoga are there in the world?
I don't
You
even know.
There's a lot.
There's so many different styles.
And
There's-
offshoots of offshoots, right?
Right.
People kind of self-create and
Exactly.
I mean the major ones are hatha.
There's hatha yoga, there's Iyengar yoga, which uses a lot of these props and stuff.
Iyengar, is
help
that the
get
one where you
into
can hang
alignment.
upside down on the wall? I
Yeah.
loved that class. That was fun.
The ropes and stuff.
Yeah, I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
I was like, am I going to get stuck up here?
And then there's Ashtanga, which is a very vigorous practice. It's a set series of poses. And then Vinyasa yoga or flow yoga or power yoga is all taken from Ashtanga yoga.
Right.
Then there's Vini yoga, which is,
Named after an Italian guy?
No, no, that's the joke though. It's adapting the practice to suit the individual through adaptation, through breath. And then there's also Bikram yoga, which you had mentioned.
Which is
And
hot.
it's also called hot yoga. It's heated up to, I think, 108 degrees.
10 to 15 it gets in there.
Yeah.
One day I had to leave.
Yeah,
It was hot.
it's really hot. And so that's supposed to burn toxins.
It really helps you sweat like crazy. It does. And you know, the one thing that I have to say that most people don't do in America is sweat. We live in the cold, especially the northern people here.
Right.
We live in the winter in the cold. And in the summer, we live in air conditioning. So all those toxins are, you know, collected in the lymphatics.
Yeah.
You know, and for women with breast cancer concerns on the rise, and it's really important to sweat and to really open those meridians and keep those channels flowing.
Right.
You know, do a lot of water, because when you do
Yeah.
the Bikram, you're forced to drink a lot of water. You're so hot.
Right.
You know, and it's like doing yoga in the south of India. You just douse yourself in water all day long, and you're constantly pouring toxins out of the skin.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So that's why I like it.
Uh-huh.
I like sweating,
Yeah.
because we don't. you know.
Right.
I don't know if I'll like it in the summertime, but winter it's great. What makes all these different styles of yoga different?
Well, they each have a little bit of a different focus. Iyengar's focus is on alignment. It's very structured. Ashtanga is on having a set series, which Bikram also has a set series of poses where you always do it in the same order every time. So it kind of
Right.
charts your progress. And, you know, Vini Yoga with the breath and the adaptation.
And what type of yoga do you practice?
I practice Vini Yoga.
You do?
Yeah.
You like the Italian guy, right? All right. And how does someone ever begin to find the right style for them or the right type of yoga for them? Because I know if you did Hatha, it's like, I was turned off to yoga for years. I thought yoga had to be painful.
Right.
So I just came back to yoga when I started with you last year.
Yeah, I think that that's the main thing. Like when you find a style or when you find a teacher, you just know.
You're like, well, I just hit pay dirt here, yeah.
Right.
It's great. It's
But
true.
you have to find out, first of all, what your needs are, you know, what you need. And then, you know, once you find that matchup, then you know.
Well, the Vini Yoga is really great because it's so flowing and it's soft and it's gentle and it's breath work. It's like, seems to me it's the best of many things kind of rolled into one modality.
I think so.
I do too. It's my favorite, absolutely. Does age matter when it comes to yoga?
No, anybody, any age can do yoga.
Even if you're 70, you could start, right?
Sure, yeah.
So copy this tape,
Yeah.
okay?
When you're in your first 30 years of life, it's called your sunrise stage of life. And so the focus is more on developmental, it's on a stronger practice, and it's more focused on asana.
Okay.
Then the midday stage of life is 30 to about 70 years old. And so that's a pretty long stage. And the main focus there is pranayama, which is the breath work, but still with asana. And then from 70 on is called the sunset stage of life. And that focuses mainly on ritual, meditation,
Quiet.
chanting.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of reconnecting to your source.
I love chanting now.
Yeah, chanting's beautiful.
It is. It just solidifies things for me. You know, I love mantras and
Yeah.
chants and why do you think yoga is so very popular right now across the United States? Is it the same in Europe? Is it
Yeah.
growing in Europe as well?
Yeah, it is. I think probably more so in Europe. I'm not exactly sure, but
It's
yeah,
huge
I
here.
think-
Look how many yoga centers
I
we've
know.
put
They're just like
together in
popping
Chicago.
up everywhere.
Right.
Just more and more. I think that just people are having, you know, more consciousness. They're more open to it. You know, they don't think it's like some like wacky
Mysterious Far
thing,
Eastern
you know?
cult-like
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
therapy. Are you seeing more children getting into yoga?
Yeah, actually, I have a lot of children, students.
Do you?
Yeah.
Starting at what age?
My youngest is 6 or 7.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Wow. How fabulous.
yeah.
Isn't that great?
And they're so pliable at that age. Like they can, you know, they develop really quickly. You know, they'll try anything too.
And can they get into the breath work? Do you see them?
I think the breath work is a little bit more difficult for
They have to
children.
focus. That's great. And is yoga cardiovascular? Do you
Yeah,
think?
yoga can be cardiovascular. It can increase your heart rate.
Especially if you're holding a pose and you're like working a muscle.
Yeah, or if you're doing a lot of things repetitiously. You know, if you're doing an asana practice and then all of a sudden you just sit down, or like you say in Bikram, you lie down on your back, you can feel your heart
Right.
beating, you can feel
Right.
stuff pumping through your body, you can feel, you know, tingling and pulsing and all sorts of sensations.
So it's a good workout
It is,
for
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Well, people start to shape shift too. You can see their bodies becoming more defined with yoga.
Yeah.
Can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, people who come week after week.
Yeah.
Is yoga part of Hinduism?
No, it's not actually. A lot of
Okay.
people think it is. It's
Why?
another misconception.
I thought it was more an offshoot of Buddhism, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, initially.
When I think when yoga came to the U.S., it was also Hindus that brought yoga over, so they had a
Associated
correlation, association there. But actually, Hinduism was, or I'm sorry, yoga was rejected by Hinduism